two of the absolute best non-Korean players going at it. This is a crucial game in the best of 7. Mihu, our Chinese Terran player, is leading 3-1 against Bonyth. If he wants to win this best of 7, obviously he needs to start winning right now. It is match point for Mihu. I believe Bonyth can fight back and make this a really close series. But we will see. Guys, thank you for watching ArtosisCasts. Hope that you are enjoying. I think it's pretty hard not to enjoy a series between these two players, even if it were to go one-sided, you know. Mihu is such a pleasure to watch. I definitely enjoy watching him. And, of course, Bonyth showing a lot of new and fun stuff. I got to tell you, the fact that in this series already we've had lockdown and multiple disruption webs. I mean, what more can you ask for? I'm still waiting, excuse me, for the disruption web play to make a big difference in an even game. I don't know that we're going to see that. Again, like I mentioned before, when I played against Bonnet, it certainly wrecked me. I'm not as good as Mihu, though. So, yeah, I guess we'll just wait and see. The map right now, of course, Eclipse, a 2-player map. One thing about Bonyth is he doesn't rush to steal gas very often on these 2-player maps, which, like, I mean, it shows that he certainly has, there's a level of respect I have for that, right? It shows that he has a lot of faith in his actual skills in the game. But honestly, stealing gas is one of the most crazy powerful things that you can do against Terran. Because, well, I mean, if you steal the gas, it just dictates what Terran is doing super, super heavily. Now, because Eclipse has been in the rotation for, I don't even know how many years now. Honestly, like 4 years on the ladder, something like that. Terrans have become so much better at how to play around gas steal, right? The amount of times that every Terran has had their gas stolen is immense. So, yeah, you know, I think that that's like a very good thing that Terrans have had to become so strong because Blizzard just won't update the map pool in a reasonable way. Eclipse is just always there. Yeah, I mean, you definitely can work on your base skills more as Bonnet, but I think it is important to also know how to gas steal and abuse that. Now, a single Zealot going across the map for Bonnet as he goes into Dragoon. We have the SCV coming over for the Scout. Only a couple probes on gas, so you can tell he's kind of saving up, getting ready for that Nexus. Very important to optimize your workers as such. Mihu is already making the bunker down here. A couple Marines. We'll see if Bonyth tries to engage or run by. I don't think he will. Like, you can, but if you run by this bunker, like, watch. Yeah, see, he sees it. If you run by, you're losing basically all of your shields, and then they can just make a vulture, and the odds of Terran losing anything is very, very little. So, good timing there from Mihu. Does cancel that 3rd Marine. Yeah, I wanted to double check, because when you have the bunker, you absolutely, like, you shouldn't make the 3rd Marine. It doesn't make sense. Now, the Dragoon kills off that SCV, and Bonnet, of course, has his own Nexus coming. These are, like, perfectly timed up with each other, as you can see. So very, very even. This is actually one of the big ways to check in an early game Terran versus Protoss who has an edge. Whoever gets their mining building up first generally has a little bit of an advantage. And it can be fought back to a certain degree, but like, for instance, Nexus first, when the Nexus is done before the command center starts, that becomes very, very bad for Terran, obviously. We talk about that a lot on the channel. But yeah, anyways, we have siege tanks being created here for Mihu, just nailing down his depots. Over on Bonnet's side, the 2nd gateway as well as the robotics. So probably 2 gate obs, maybe into Reaver. Reaver is pretty strong here, but we'll see. I do like that Bonnet has some good variety in his play regarding that now. Once upon a time, I feel like every game I saw from Bonyth had... Oh, that's some beautiful micro right there. Wow. Wow. Put some real damage onto that Dragoon. But I was going to say, it feels like for a while, maybe a few years ago, that every PVT that I watched from Bonyth had Reavers in it. But now that he utilizes some, or I mean, maybe that just happens to be the games that I watch of him. Obviously, I don't watch like every Bonyth game, you know. I like that he has games that have Reavers and games that don't. And every now and then, I feel like once per series, he mixes in a DT rush. So I feel like he actually is doing a very good job of randomizing some of his plays because he does feel somewhat predictable at times. But, you know, the level of his strength, I guess, can allow that to a certain degree. Now, Mihu is doing a 2-factory pressure here. He's going to have 3 tanks and then rally vultures. Oh, a little bit of a supply block. That 44 man, it gets everybody. But it's actually really hard to fit this in perfectly. A 2-factory build like this, getting the second factory so quickly. But he's got 3 Marines, 3 tanks, bringing in an SCV as well. Always good to bring an SCV. It takes a lot of shots. But a perfect place to engage there from Bonnet. This is very well done. Oh my god, he's going to get that tank. Just barely does snap it before it can get away. Oh my, are you serious? So he just traded 1 Zealot and 1 Dragoon for 3 siege tanks. That is... I mean, Mihu's build is so screwed now. It's not that he's dead. You can still technically play from here, but you can't trade 3 tanks for a Dragoon and a Vulture. Like, killing any early tanks gives a huge advantage to Protoss. Bonyth right now can do anything he wants. Like, he's making a 3rd Nexus as soon as that occurs. He can throw down Stargates. He could actually throw down a couple more gates and, like, go into, you know, a 4th base. Like, there's a lot of things he can do because Mihu is so far behind. He just doesn't have anything that can put pressure on the map. You can see he's running around with these slow vultures. And, I mean, they just get picked off immediately. He loses 2 vultures there. Bonyth had walled this in. This is something he does all the time. If vultures get loose, he just makes a full wall. And look, with the Observer with the Dragoons, he can easily clear the vultures. And what do you have as Mihu? You have literally 1 siege tank right now against 7 goons. And look at that, Bonyth once again. This is actually like a StarCraft 2 thing that Bonyth is doing. This is really interesting, where he just keeps remaking, and then he can just cancel. And this will just not allow any vultures to get into his base. It's I like it. I think it's an intelligent play, and he can just cancel it as he feels the need to. You know, gateways take a while to make, so you have plenty of time to cancel. Now, there's that first Stargate. No +1 started as of yet. Bonyth going to run in here and doesn't quite get the siege tank, but does put a good amount of damage down onto it. Nice micro there from Mihu, keeping everything together. He has gone into 4 factories. He has his academy as well. We don't see an armory or anything, so it doesn't look like there's like some late game prospects that are being built up. A couple mines go down that show that Mihu might be a little bit nervous about another run-in, but Bonyth absolutely not planning that right now. Mihu with that siege. I wonder if he's going to try to put pressure on or just expand. Honestly, I think this is going to turn into an expand, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Like, the position is very, very tough because of losing those tanks and dealing basically no damage. Not the best scan to get rid of that Observer. He must have thought he saw it here. You see these areas? That almost looks like Observer blur. So a bit of a mistake there. It's great if you can snipe it. Now, Bonyth moves forward, immediately picks off another tank, just takes a couple tank hits. Oh my god, just completely out-controlling right now. Of course, he has vision of everything Mihu is doing, but Mihu getting mega punished by these early Dragoons. And Bonyth with so few as well. This is a real issue for Mihu. Now, the 4-factory production continues, but Bonyth right now, look at this. Very, very nice. So we have 5 gates producing, 2 more gates on the way, and he's starting his Corsair production. Honestly, I would like to see a scout here. I think a scout here would be absolutely fantastic. But anyways, Mihu continues to try to push forward here. The Dragoons just picking off what they can as they microback. They have taken a bit of damage, so as that damage stacks up, Mihu may be able to start splattering a few of them. A lot of Dragoons up here. It looks like these Dragoons are going to try to stop any reinforcing units. And if they can do that, it's hard to imagine this many units destroying this base before Bonyth has enough units to take them over. He has 7 Zealots on the way. So yeah, actually walks forward, sacks a couple goons so far. Yeah, he's losing quite a few, but you know what? This is really, really worth it. Now he can just back up to the ramp And this is just not an army that is going to, again, break this in time. You know, you have all these units that are being produced off. They're going to run up, be able to smash the siege tanks and vultures. And, yeah, then it's like, I guess let's see, but I think Mihu's just putting together as good an attack as he really can right now, based on the tough situation that he's in. Now the Zealots get on top of these siege tanks. He is going to be able to knock this out. His expansion kept safe. Mihu, well, he comes down with another attack. He's really trying to abuse the lowest unit counts he's going to be fighting against all game. Throws down a few mines here, going double turret. I love the double turret here for sure. Disruption web is on the way, by the way. And, well, the Zealots run in. God. Yeah, you can really see that Mihu's in a tough position here. That 4-factory push, just not finding any footing. 0 damage actually done to Bonyth. And Bonyth actually, like, look, he's up 25 supply, but he's still got 1,500 in the bank. So, like, as soon as he actually spends, his supply is going to go through the roof. Whereas Mihu here, okay, we do have an armory. It just started +1. He's starting a second armory. I like the second armory. You know, you're so far behind here, you do have to make something happen. He does have a healthy worker count, so that's definitely one thing. He's actually up in workers compared to Bonnet, who has skipped quite a few to get those units out to make sure that he was safe. But Bonnet, at this point, if he wants to reintroduce probe production, absolutely free to do so. In fact, I really think he should. He really should get up into the mid-60s, I think. But anyways, sometimes it's hard to keep track of that in a game like this. Now, Forge coming up, additional Stargate as well, that +1 on the way. He does have Disruption Web, 2 ready, 3rd will be in about a minute. And, you know, we've seen in some of these other games how the Disruption Web can really shut down a lot of siege tanks. That might allow a push that Bonyth can break him with, but honestly, you could even utilize that defensively here, because it's going to take a while for Mihu to be able to have enough units to really attack, right? Right now, he's having a hard time with his macro. He's actually getting supply blocked. You see he's, well, I guess he just had one finish right there. Oh, it was this one up here. But yeah, you know, he has all these factories. He's got to keep them going. His supply is super, super low at 109. You can't really get anything together at that point. Really, you got to get to at least 140 to feel safe. Sometimes higher here on Eclipse because it is so wide open. Bonyth just setting up some defensive cannons against any sort of like vulture drops he might hit. The carrier sitting on defensive duty as well. 3 Stargate carrier going to scale up really, really quickly. And I'm trying to imagine like how, as Mihu, you get together the right army that's going to be able to fight against these carriers, right? Because he's still got to build siege tanks. He does have the 3rd gas. That's really important. If this was a map with a the 3rd base didn't have a gas, I would call Mihu 100% out at this point. But with that 3rd gas, like the amount of income that 3 geysers gives Terran is insanity. You can support so many Goliaths and siege tanks off of that. But yeah, he's going to have to get quite a few because the carrier count is going to be at like 4 to 7, I want to say, by the time he's ready to move out. And that's where you're like, okay, I might need 20 Goliaths. Now, one thing I also want to mention, he is getting, I believe this is called Argus Jewel. Argus Jewel. How do I even know that? Oh my God. Corsair Energy is on the way. That's the Argus Jewel. That's in, he doesn't have this fully mining. But that is what's going to, you know, allow those Corsairs to start with more energy, hold more energy, and that means that maxed out Corsairs, as far as energy goes, when they hit 250, they'll be able to do 2 disruption webs apiece. So it's actually one of the most impactful energy upgrades in the game, because it like literally goes from 1 to 2 spells cast for the unit, which is like, I mean, there are other ones that are really good, like High Templars. You know, just getting up to, what is it, the 225. It goes to 250 with the energy upgrade, but the 225 allows for you know, 3 Psy Storms. Defiler, you know, with full energy. Not that they need it because they just eat things to get more energy. You know, allows for Plague and Darkstorm, that type of thing. Anyways, kind of an important upgrade, I guess, if you're going for this. Not something I thought I'd ever see outside of like a BGH game, though. Now, Bonyth has a pretty frightening set of units right now. One thing to mention, he doesn't have real splash. He has the AoE effect spell, of Disruption Web, but no real splash damage. Now, Mihu moving out here. Okay. Is he going to be able to take a good engage? This is a hard place to engage because this is all low ground here. So any units in there can be missing shots against the units that run in, right? So if you have a lot of your army standing there, sometimes that's a good time to attack in as Protoss. Now, Bonyth has done a great job spending his money. He's at 193 supply. He's got a good carrier count. He's buying time to build up more interceptors here as well. And he has decided it is time to go. A huge percentage of the army is in that ditch, but actually starts to back up. That engagement goes very well for Mihu. Oh my God. Really, really impressive. Bonyth does have his 4th base down here. A very hard base to break against carriers because you have cannons there. You have the pylon wall, and then the carriers, of course, can swoop over to help. And here we go. Once again, Bonyth trying to get in. Mihu re-sieges his siege tanks here. Bonyth pushing forward. He has that double disruption web. And does he have enough to knock this all out? Yeah, it really does look like it. The carriers being worth their weight in gold right now. The Zealots getting on top of the Goliaths, of the siege tanks. And I think Bonyth now should be pulling back. There's just enough here to splatter the rest of the goons. And yeah, that is what's happening. But I guess the Goliath count is low enough that he's like, yeah, I just want to knock this out. Ooh, the D-Web goes down, stops the siege tanks from firing. Goliath's doing their best, but they're fighting against all these carriers and all these Dragoons alone. Unsieges the tanks, moves them backwards while he brings up more Goliaths as well. And honestly, Mihu did better in this battle than I think I would ever guess. He is so good at engagements. I honestly don't understand, to the point where I've talked to a lot of other players trying to figure it out. He's just so good at these engagements that it just looks like he should be getting destroyed in. But does a pretty good job. Now, the problem is he lost a lot of siege tanks. And if you look at the way his money's starting to look, much heavier mineral bank, much lower gas bank, right? He's spending as much as he can, getting additional upgrades. He has 2-2 on the way. He needs to replace those siege tanks. Those are the most expensive things, right? Like, for instance, to produce out of 2 factories non-stop siege tanks takes 1 1/3 geysers. Right? So just these 2 add-ons replacing siege tanks account for like this geyser here, which is almost done, and then 1/3 of this one, right? And then you have to make the Goliaths off of everything else. So it's a little bit tricky right now. Bonyth is going to have a much easier time getting his army back to what he wants after reducing that siege tank count. You can see the tank count very, very low. Mihu trying to defend here as best he can. Does have that +2 attack done. He actually has EMP on the way, which is kind of interesting. I wonder if he's going to utilize that for Corsairs or for carriers. We'll see. But here we go. The Zealots running in. They're going to get on top of a lot of this right away. That's actually a... Oh, actually, that's not touching this one siege tank, I think. Or maybe it was. Hard to say. But the siege tank's getting picked off so quickly. With only 3 siege tanks there, Bonnet unafraid to just run in. He is going to be able to kill off this base. He should be able to kill the command center as well. Honestly, I would like to see him target that as opposed to SCVs. Yeah, he does start to do so. So picking off that 4th base going to be very, very painful indeed. Mihu rallying down what he can get. He's down 50 supply at the moment. So that is kind of a tough situation here. Oh, man, the carrier's starting to do some serious work. 6 carriers is a pain to deal with. He has enough energy for a D-Web right there. Looks like the carrier's coming over and cleaning up some things on the side. Mihu thinking about sneaking a base in this bottom right. He definitely does need a 4th base. Still producing pretty well. A lot of Goliaths and siege tanks coming out, but he's starting to run out of everything. This geyser is depleted now. These mineral patches almost gone. So you're just about down to 2 geysers and these few patches here, right? That is not going to be enough. Mihu has got to make something happen, and something happen very, very soon. He does have about 100 army supply right now, which isn't bad. He's got good upgrades for it, right? Like, pretty impressive as far as the upgrades go. He's about to have 2-2, which is, you know, every upgrade really counts against carriers specifically, and attack upgrades very, very powerful against those ground units from Protoss. Looks like he's going to go down the side of Eclipse here. a tough situation for Mihu as Bonyth has joined up his carrier fleet. 9 carriers. This is like a floating base. It gains you so much value. It's insane. Carriers are actually the best scaling unit in the game. You know, as they get more and more, their power just becomes unbelievable. It actually scales like it's truly crazy. If you see like a pro gamer running around with 12 carriers, they'll beat everything except for one defiler, right? That's I always have to give that caveat because the defiler is the stupidest unit ever made in RTS. Anyways, moving forward here, this should be Mihu's last real army. He's not going to be able to afford another one, so he needs to really win this battle. The D-Web comes out, a very strong one. Oh my god, the second D-Web doing a fantastic job shutting down a lot of those siege tanks. He does pull back. Some of the tanks that got caught in the first one, tanks being targeted down by these carriers, so the Dragoons can go to town on the Glyce. That should be it. GG. Bonyth brings himself back into the series.